Cheers guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the first official vinyl video of 2018. In saying that, most of these I picked up last year. But yeah, it's been a really busy past few months for me. As you would have noticed, my last 3 videos were not strictly vinyl related. A contest entry, a hike across the volcano, and the ultrasonic cleaning thing. So yeah, I've just been busy. I was in Melbourne for last week for a very close friend's wedding, and before that I was home for a few days or a week, and then before that I was up in Auckland for just over 3 weeks, from just before Christmas till early Jan. So I haven't really had a chance to get back into the video making routine or to get through what I've been buying. So yeah, I mean, I've obviously bought a whole bunch of stuff in Melbourne. I bought some stuff in Auckland. I've still got a lot of stuff from the Deceased Estate sale I haven't shown. So yeah, this is a monster update really. I did watch Vinyl in the Van's video. He made a video a couple of months ago, and he was talking about how he really enjoys like long form videos and videos that go on for 30-40 minutes. And he said that he would rather sit down and enjoy a vinyl community video like a TV show instead of watching whatever crap is on TV. He'll sit down, relax, and he's happy to watch a 40-minute video. And I've never really thought about it like that, because I always seem to want to keep them as short as possible, or I worry about them being too long. So this video, I'm just going to take my time and enjoy my coffee and chat to you guys, because it's been a while, and we'll get through the records when we get through them. I'm not going to worry about time, because I'm normally pretty decent with time, but yeah, we'll see how we go. Just over 35 records. I wonder if we can do this in 35 minutes. Let's do it. So in the stack here, there's a massive range. Reggae, jazz, free jazz, krautrock, Brazilian, indie, shoegaze, pop. It's all in here, so you're going to get a big cross section, which is pretty exciting. We'll get straight into it with 2 reggae records that are sort of related. Well, I've sort of made a link between them. This is called Dread, Beat and Blood. The album's called Tribute to a Friend by Dread, Beat and Blood. This is a New Zealand reggae record, a really important New Zealand reggae record. I think it's one of the first of its kind. It's very political. It talks about the struggles in New Zealand at the time in the 80s. Songs about the Rainbow Warrior, which was our Greenpeace ship that got blown up by the French. That's an interesting Wikipedia article if you want to read up on that. Songs about Waitangi. There's a song called Blair Peach, and it's a name I vaguely recognised. And this is a song. I ended up googling Blair Peach and found out he was a New Zealand teacher who was an activist in London in the 80s, and he got killed protesting in an anti-racism rally. And yeah, and the name rang a bell. So yeah, he was protesting. I think he was in Brixton in a rally. Ended up getting he got a head injury and died, and that made big news here and obviously in London. So that's sort of the link, in which a record I picked up completely without even realising. This is Dread, Beat and Blood by Poet and the Roots, or Linton Kwesi Johnson. So obviously the names, initially, these guys were heavily influenced by, to the point of stealing the band name on here. This is I guess Linton Kwesi Johnson is known as a dub poet. He uses dub and reggae rhythms, mainly heavy dub rhythms, but he talks and almost raps about very political things. He basically foreshadows the Brixton riots and the tensions, and he's a reggae artist that really captured racism in London in the 80s. Yeah, I think he was a massive voice in that. So this is an amazing record. It's so politically charged. The lyrics are so visceral, and yeah, it's fantastic. Anyway, there's a track on here called It Dread in England for George Lindo, And George Lindo was another name that I recognised, so I started Googling George Lindo, and George Lindo he was from Bradford, which is actually my hometown in England. Well, I say hometown. I was born in Bradford, England, and George Lindo also got killed in similar circumstances. I don't think he was protesting, but he was a victim of racism, and he got I think he was a shopkeeper. Is that right? Can't remember. Anyway, kind of a weird link there between the two, and I bought them without realizing. And I bought them in different shops, different locations, a few months apart. But anyway, yeah, this is fantastic. If you don't know this record, it's essential for me anyway. And it sounds wonderful. It really jumps out of the speakers. Cool. That's 2 down. I bet we're about 10 minutes in or something. It's Saturday morning here. My girlfriend's out for a few hours, so yeah, this is a good opportunity just to sit back and relax and get through these records. We've sort of had stuff on the past few weeks, so it's nice just to get back to the collection and yeah, I don't know, just get through them, which is great. Another reggae record. This is Repatriation Time by Rankin Superstar. I'm in love with a dreadlock. Now, off the bat, I bought this because the cover is fantastic, and also I love that. I'm in love with a dreadlock, and look at that cover. And it's just, yeah, it's printed on this really thick stock. And I never heard of Rankin Superstar before this, but it's on this really cool sort of Jamaican handmade label. Turns out the story behind this, but what I figured out is it was recorded in Jamaica, but it was pressed for a Canadian label and distributed in Canada. So yeah, it was distributed. Oh no, it was distributed in the USA and Canada, but I think it was aimed at a Canadian audience or something. But this was recorded at Channel 1 in Kingston. The thing, when I dropped the needle on this, I was like, bang, straight away. The Lord Coos, he sort of does remind me of U-Roy, but I don't know much about reggae, so it could be a comparison just because that's all I know. I don't know. Obviously, the names I recognise. Obviously, Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare. Later went on to be Sly and Robbie. And Ossie Hibbert is a name I know from. I think he played with what's the guy's name? The Dadawa guy. I forgot what his Raz Michael. I think he played on a few of those records. Anyway, yeah, produced by Lynn Val Thompson. This is really fantastic. It's not cheap either, but I got it for a really decent price. Yeah, Repatriation Time, Rankin Superstar. Check it out. And yeah, speaking of U-Roy, Dread in a Babylon. Massive shout out to Metal Theologian for switching me onto this. I really, really, really enjoy this record. Really, 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 really. If you know the track Chalice in the Palace, that was a slight reference to that track, which is a really wonderful track. I constantly have Chalice in the Palace in my head when I'm walking around. Roots reggae. I love it. It's brilliant. I know Anthony has an original press. I kind of want an original press too, but I'll get around to it. This is a reissue from 2017. I think I showed this in Diana Digging the Crates video, so I won't talk about it too much. The original UK cover is like a zoomed out version of this, so it's not quite as iconic. But yeah, Dread in a Babylon. I'm comparing it to the Dread Beat and Blood record. This is a lot more positive. Songs about love, songs about, I assume, having sex with the Queen, Chalice in the Palace. Songs about school, I don't know, Listen to the Teacher. They're not, Runaway Girl, they're love songs and positive messages, rather than, the heavy, dense UK stuff. But yeah, this is great. I really recommend this. I've got to start talking less and just showing more, haven't I? Haven't really made a dent in the file. Van Dyke Park's Song Cycle. This blew my mind at first, and at first it wasn't necessarily in a good way. At the time, all I knew of Van Dyke Parks was he was sort of related to something to do with Brian Wilson. I really liked the font. I'd recognized the cover. I knew he was a bit weird, and this was meant to be a strange concept album. And I found this really cheap, and I just picked it up based on that. I put it on, and I initially just found it so like show busy, and I like cringed a bit. And then by sort of the end of side one, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I kind of get it. It's very dense, very, very orchestrated. And then by the end of sort of halfway through side two, I was like, this just sounds exactly like, yeah, this record here. Just some of the arrangements and samples, and I don't know, I can hear it in this record a lot. And then for some reason that sort of swayed me a bit. I don't know if that's the right word, but it sort of started to make sense, and then by the second or third I really got into it. But yeah, this is an example of a record that I didn't like at first, and not just I thought it was okay, I just didn't like it, and then now I absolutely love it. Yeah, so Van Dyke Parks helped Brian Wilson a lot with the arrangements. To me, if I could sum this up in one line, it's kind of like no, that's not right. It's like a Beach Boys Pet Sounds without the songs. It's like the arrangements without the catchy hooks. It's like the orchestration behind it, but pushed out to the extreme. This is a concept album, apparently. I can honestly say I haven't figured out what the concept is yet. But there's so much listening in this record, it's so deep. I'll get there eventually. Smiley Smile by the Beach Boys. I was so impressed with Van Dyke Parks, I picked up this because I wanted to hear it. Obviously this is the record that is famously was never completed. I think this is sort of a, you know, people know this album, so please correct me or tell me. After Pet Sounds, Brian Wilson was promising a follow-up was going to be a masterpiece, and he never really finished it, or never got fully released until whenever it was, a few years back. But this got pushed out in the meantime. It's very loose, very scrappy. Some songs don't sound fantastic, but I really enjoyed this listen. It obviously has good vibrations on here, and Heroes and Villains. Vegetables. Now that track reminds me so much of a track on the, again on the Avalanche's record, called, The Noisy Eater. Just songs about eating food in a similar sort of happy style. I don't know, I can really hear that link. If anyone else can hear that, please let me know. Or am I just talking rubbish? But yeah, Little Pad is really cool. I don't know, it's really, again, a weird listen, but I really enjoy it. Do you know I don't have a copy of Pet Sounds? I've only recently started getting back into them, and I didn't want to reissue, and I hope one day I'll get some sort of early US press in decent shape, or a Japanese press or something like that. I'll get around to it one day, but that's something that I've only really started to appreciate in the past couple of years, you know. Anyway, moving on. The camera that I'm filming on, it's just a digital camera, by the way, it's nothing fancy, but it doesn't have a light or an indicator to show me if it's stopped recording, or the camera, or the, you know, either the battery's gone or the card is full. So I'm constantly paranoid that it's going to cut off, especially with this longer video. So I might have to cut this a few times while I check the camera and come back again. We'll see. Anyway, these next 4 I got from the garage Deceased estate sale. I think I paid $10 each for them. Standing with the Miles Davis Quintet, massive fan of the series, I suppose. The steaming with the Miles Davis Quintet, working with the Miles Davis Quintet, relaxing, and cooking with the Miles Davis Quintet. So I've got steaming, relaxing. I've got a reissue of Working, and I just need Cooking now. I've got the 4, but they're just wonderful, wonderful. I think they bought. What was that? That doesn't sound great. Anyway, I'll check it later. Steaming with the Miles Davis Quintet. Yeah, absolutely wonderful bop record. It's the classic Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Philly Joel Jones, Red Garland, and someone else. Paul Chambers. Yeah, this is a original New Zealand pressing, but I had a chat with someone online who seems to think that the covers were printed here, but the records were actually pressed in the USA. He did a lot of research on the topic, and he's fairly sure that that's the case. But it's on the gold prestige label, which is what the original US press comes on. There's nothing particularly in here that says it's pressed in New Zealand. It's got the RVG stamp on here. So I'm not sure. Either way, it sounds fantastic, and it's actually in really good shape. And I haven't put it in the ultrasonic cleaner yet, so yeah, really happy with that. By the way, for anyone that's interested, I will do a part 2 on the ultrasonic cleaner at some point. It's just taken me a while. Again, I've been away for a fair bit, and I only really nailed down the exact formula of the solution and the routine of how it's working, and I'm getting good results now. Some things better than others. I'm happy. It's definitely better than my spin clean. I'm not necessarily getting 100% of the crackles out, but the dynamics are so much better on records, to the point where it feels like I've removed this like cloudy mist over my records. Everything just punches a lot more, which is almost worth it alone, you know. And this weird thing where some records I can clean up to the point of being mint, and then some records there's just a tiny few crackles, but I get so anal about them that I just want to keep cleaning, because it feels like sometimes the more you chuck them in the cleaner it gets. And I've spent way too long trying to get tiny crackles out of records, or they just annoy me more because the ultrasonic cleaner is so good. I don't know how to describe it. I'm in this weird thing where I want to get them mint, which is a good thing, but it just takes so long, and I just need to step back and realize that it's gone from being a VG to VG plus to a near mint record. I should be happy with that, but I just want to push them that much further. I don't know what I'm saying, but you know what I mean. Like, I've got to step back and realize that I've got an amazing cleaner, and not everything can be absolutely mint, especially, you know, a 50-year-old record. Anyway, onwards and upwards and forwards. Someday when my prints will come. This is the same deal. Actually, no, it's not. It's on Coronet Records, which is the New Zealand version that pressed the Columbia records initially. They have this really cool hexagonal label. Someday my prints will come. I do have a music on vinyl copy of this, but this is a really cool, unique New Zealand pressing that sounds fantastic. Just looking in the dead wax here, there's nothing interesting. Anyway, yeah, Coronet label. This could be my favourite Miles Davis from this period. Just the opening track, which I think is just called "Someday My Prince Will Come," is gorgeous. Happy to get that, and I'll sell the repress, I think. Back to what I was saying before. Same deal. Gold Prestige. I'm pretty sure it was pressed in America, and the covers were printed here. Yeah, wonderful. I won't talk too much about that. This is a cool one. This is another, again, on the Coronet label. This is the New Zealand cover. I think the original UK pressings and the New Zealand press have this version of the cover, which I think I like more, actually. There's just something about it. I'm kind of sick of seeing the other kind of blue cover. I have a reissue, I don't know what it is, some cheap reissue from like 2004 or something. So yeah, I'm going to be keeping this one on the Coronet label. Am I going to sit here and talk about Kinda Blue? No, I'm not. Okay, we're going to switch it up. Kate Bush, The Dreaming. This came out, I think this is the one that came out after Hounds of Love. This record, I think, lost a lot of people. Because, you know, obviously the track Hounds of Love and Rang Up the Hill were sort of big hits for her. This is a lot more heavier to get into. There's so much going on. It's very experimental. I wouldn't say experimental. It is kind of experimental. There's a lot of textures, a lot of things. I still haven't absorbed this fully yet. Some of my favourite tracks on here are Suspended and Gaffer, and what's it called? There Goes a Tenor. Yeah, for me, I know Fred reckons that this record is better than Hounds of Love, but for me, that's not the case. I really enjoy this. I just haven't got my head around it completely as of yet. I think this is an original US press or UK pressing. Yep, an original UK pressing. There we go. The Dreaming, Kate Bush. I think that's probably all I'll go for with Kate Bush. I mean, I've tried her earlier stuff. I really like that record, Ariel, which is very expensive, and I really like 50 Words for Snow, another one that's now really expensive. I remember seeing it for $30 when it came out. I didn't buy it. I've seen it in a record store for $120 over here now. It's insane. Anyway, a classic I didn't have, Axis Bold as Love, James Hendricks. I don't need to talk about this too much. This is a UK press from '83. I think it originally came out in '67. I'm always amazed at, I can retain album release dates really well. I don't know why, it's this weird thing. It just sticks, you know, I can't remember the most basic things in my personal life, but I can remember that this came out in '67. And it's not even a record I'm 150% familiar with, you know, like I know, you know, Spanish Castle Magic and what's the big one here? Little Wing, stuff like that. Anyway, nice to have this. Yeah. One I've been wanting for a very long time. Steve Hillage, Fish Rising. Wonderful UK Canterbury prog. Bits of ambient stuff in here. Yeah, really wonderful. Sort of a loose concept on fish and water and salmon, and a lot of the instruments are fish related. You know, a bassoon of fish, a bass of fish, which is a bass, organ, piano fish. Tracks about water, I don't know, swimming with the salmon, king of the fishes, salmon pool, Atlantis. It has a watery fishing concept to it. It's a magic album. Something I've been hunting for ages. I'd always come across reissues, like late, you know, current reissues. This is a 1975 press on Virgin. I think it is a UK pressing, made in England. Yeah. For some reason, I thought it was a gatefold. Did it come out in '75? I think it did. I thought it was a gatefold, but I could be wrong. If anyone knows, please correct me. There could be an earlier press with the different Virgin label sleeve on it, you know, with the twins. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, this is wonderful. Contains all the usual guys that hung around at the time. You know, like obviously Hillage, Steve, Pierre Merlin, Dave Stewart, Mike Howlett, all the guys that were around the Gong, Soft Machine, blah 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 scene, Canterbury scene. Cool. This is a record that I had a long time ago and I hated it, and ever since I sort of got back into country music, this is like an Americana roots rock record. A really wonderful. I bought it for $2 back in the day. I didn't like it and I hated it, and I sold it, and now I came back to it this year. You know, I do have a soft spot for that track. Oh my god, Magnolia. I completely forgot the name of it there. And Tali and I, my girlfriend, we were on a road trip and we were playing. The track came on in the car, and the scenery was beautiful. The sun was out. It was just one of those moments where it hit me. It is a really great track. I wish I could say more about this. I don't know as much as I should about it. Call the Doctor, Call Me the Breeze, you know, Magnolia, After Midnight. Yeah, it's really wonderful. I suppose it's country rock, roots rock. J.J. Cale, Naturally. You all know that record, you know, it's not new, it's not weird. Okay, I think it's time for a camera break and a leg stretch, because I'm actually sitting cross-legged under here, and it's not super comfortable. One moment. Alright, back into it. JJ Burnell, Euroman Cometh. JJ Burnell is the bass player in the Stranglers. This is like it's like a This Heat record, but with an 80s synth pop Euro weirdness thing, avant-garde. I don't know, it's awesome. I was blown away by this record. I know a few people are big fans in the VC, but I don't know why this hasn't got any more attention it deserves. You know, it's killer. I mean, look at that artwork. I was blown away by this record. It'd been on my radar for some time, so I'm really happy to snag a copy. Yeah, I love it. This is probably one of the favourite ones in the pile so far. Check it out. You won't regret it. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, this one has been... I was very happy. I just got this for $10 again at the Deceased Estate sale. I was very thrilled when I found it. I still am very thrilled. This is Cosmiche music. It's a compilation of the early Krautrock electronic side of things. So the bands you have on here is Popo Vul, Klaus Schulze, Tangerine Dream, Ashra Temple, so all the big names. Unfortunately, side one is a little bit crackly even after some deep ultrasonic cleaning. It's probably listenable. I think what I need to do is just spend some time away from the record and come back to it later when I'm not so focused on clearing out the noise, because that's all I can hear at the moment is the crackles, and it's annoying me. So I just need to sit back. This is, I mean, look at that for artwork. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's worth a bit of money now. But the music I can hear is absolutely, yeah, fantastic, spacey, heavy. This is all in German. It's an original German press on the ear, I'm going to say, or ear label. Obviously a very collectible label. The other catches, and this is a massive one, the side that has the Ashra Temple stuff on it, which I don't have any Ashra Temple on vinyl because it's so freaking expensive, has some very, it's slightly warped, which I think I can solve. I know someone that has a vinyl flat that I'm going to ask him very nicely if I can borrow it. If you're watching this, you know who you are. Yeah, here in Wellington. Anyway, it's got, this is, you're probably not going to see this at all. I'll hold it up here, but there's all these weird little dots sort of pressed into the record. It looks like they're paper. I've tried absolutely everything I can think of. I might in the camera, I'll do a bit of a zoom and see if you can see. I've tried everything I can think of to get these out, including the ultrasonic cleaner. I've just tried rubbing it for a very long time, but they're sort of stuck. Really, there's like, you know, thousands of these little dots that are just stuck in the record, and obviously I can't play because the needle just hits the paper or whatever it is, if it's like a pressing defect, and yeah, this is not good for the record, which is such a shame because it's got the Ashra Temple tracks on here. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I think it's a lost cause, but you know, for what I paid, it's worth it just for the first disc, which is the Popo Vul and Tangerine Dream stuff. Okay, moving on. The Beatles. Yes, I'm showing the Beatles. This is a original UK first pressing I got for really cheap of the first Beatles record. The record looks trashed, but it cleaned up amazing. I was amazed that this, you know, it's almost near mint now, the record itself. It does have the signature on the back, but I'm 100% sure that they're not correct because they're all written in the same sort of handwriting in a pencil, and they look like someone's just written the words over them. Yep, it's on the Parlophone label. There we go. Oh, Hold Me Tight, I'm not going to read this out. I'm not really going to read out the Beatles tracks. You know, just a classic Beatles record that I didn't have. I know the tracks inside out. You know, Please Mr. Postman. I'm actually a big Beatles fan. I don't talk about them very much, but I much prefer them over the Stones. I know you can't really compare them, but I put on the Stones the other day and I just had to switch it off. I'm just so sick of the Rolling Stones. I don't know. I don't know. I just can't listen to Mick Jagger anymore. I just can't do it. And I just can't appreciate them at the moment. But the Beatles, I can just chuck on and enjoy. I don't know. I just can't do the Rolling Stones at the moment. I picked up a copy of Aftermath, which I kind of used to like, and I just had to take it off. I don't know. Just the mood I was in, or I don't know. Not feeling it. Alright, some reissues. This is in my circles of the vinyl community. This was the one that everyone picked up last year. Joe Henderson, The Elements, wonderful spiritual jazz record. Sounds wonderful. Pressed at Quality Records by mastered by Kevin Gray. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I can't. The thing about this is going to be controversial, but it doesn't blow me away as much as I was expecting, because this gets hyped to hell. The thing it does have running through it are these repetitive elements or repetitive themes that drift in and out of it. So they sort of bookend each song almost, and to the point where I feel like I'm just listening to the same song over and over. If you have this record, you might know what I mean. I don't know. So you know, there's certain like themes that just come back way too often, and I feel, to the point where I thought I was listening to the first side twice, but I turned it over. It's great when it's great, but it is great. It's good. It's a keeper. But for some reason, I just feel like some of the motifs just come back too often, and they slide back into the same thing, which I'm not feeling so much. Anyway, yeah, super hyped. Glad that it's reissued, but slightly disappointed. Okay, one that I wasn't disappointed by is the Slowdive record that came out last year. You know, when these sorts of bands can reform, things can go very wrong. I'm talking about Ride. I'm not a fan of their new album at all. It just sounds terrible. This is wonderful. This, you know, is you know, it sounds like it just came out, you know, 3 years after Pygmalion. It's takes those ambient textures and moves a bit forward. It's like a perfect cross between like Suvaki and Pygmalion. It's just, yeah, absolutely wonderful. Yeah, Sugarful the Pill is so catchy, and Star Roving. It sounds wonderful. I've done a really good job pressing this. Definitely one of my favourite new albums of last year. Slowdive, self-titled. And Dead Oceans. I don't think I've got anything on the Dead Oceans label. Back to some jazz. Better start speeding up. Human Arts Ensemble, Under the Sun. This is a wonderful, funky soul jazz record. I was expecting it to be more free than it is. Really enjoyable on the Arista Freedom label. Great. This is a classic record. If you ever see this around, check it out. Another one, I did have a reissue of this. Came out on Universal Sound from a few years ago with a globe on the cover, like the Earth black cover. But this is the earlier reissue from the 70s on Arista Freedom, and I think the artwork is so much cooler. The first track on here is called Africa. It's just actually the whole first side is just so deep, deep spiritual jazz. I remember the first side just knocking my socks off when I heard it. Oliver Lake, NTU, Point from Which Creation Begins, Arista Freedom. Again, they shouldn't be too expensive to track down, but they're absolutely worth it. A classic that I've been wanting for a long time, Chairs Missing by Wire. This is a Harvest New Zealand pressing. I mean, it's hard because, like, obviously Pink Flag is the monumental Wire record. It's the Wire record. This is still really great. It has I Am the Fly on here, and is it the Outdoor Miner? That's what I'm trying to think of. I was getting confused with the Swimmer one. Anyway, yeah, Wire Chair's missing on the Harvest label. There you go. Oh, we got so much to go. Sorry guys, I hope you're not losing interest. But I did promise variation, and we've got variation. Because we've got some country music. Graham Parsons. This is a compilation of Graham Parsons stuff, Flame Burrito Brothers stuff, Bird stuff, unrecorded stuff, outtakes. Yeah, really great. I really enjoyed this record. I was initially, I think the cover sold me on this, to be honest. Look at that. I wish it was that cool. I'm still missing, I'm trying to find original pressings or very early pressings of the two Graham Parsons albums, and I just can't find them anyway. I'm close to looking online for them, I think. Yeah, Grievous Angel and GP, self-titled. Yeah, I'm not going to read out tracks on here. Actually, the Honky Tonk Woman by the Stones cover is really good. But yeah, this has obviously got all the people on it. What's his name? Chris Hillman's on here, Sneaky Pete. There's tracks with it's just Graham Parsons and Emil Harris, which is really nice. Yeah, great. Speaking of, finally got a copy of this. Sweetheart of the Rodeo, The Birds, absolutely essential country record. But what do I know? I don't know anything about country music. For me, it's essential. Yeah, this is an original US press I found in a record store. Unfortunately, it's very, very noisy. Even after a spin clean, there's crackles and stuff like that. So I may see if I can get another copy at some point. It's the Columbia 2i label. Yeah, great stories, great feeling. Everyone knows the Birds, everyone knows that record. And the last country one, this is a fantastic compilation on Numero Group called Cosmic American Music, which is the name that Graham Parsons gave to that sort of country rock crossover. Yeah, it's called Wayfaring Strangers Cosmic American Music. That cover is just out of this world. I love that artwork. It's actually, I think it's in here, yeah. In here is the painting, is what it is during the day, and that's what it's like at night time. There's lots of private press, weird country rock stuff on here. It's a 2 LP compilation. I got it quite cheap. It's yeah, really wonderful. Just weird lyric. I don't know how to describe it. Weird family bands recording songs, and I wish I could describe it better. But this was one of my favorite compilations I picked up last year. Okay, the battery is getting quite low, and I'm quite conscious of time, so I'm going to pump through these. Crystal Voyager. This is a soundtrack, Australian soundtrack to a surfing movie. This is amazing. This is like a country rock record, slightly psychedelic, kind of feel good. I really like this record. It got reissued, I think, a few years ago. This is an original press on Warm and Genuine. Again, I found this really cheap at the Deceased Estate sale. Something I've been aware of for a long time, but I hadn't seen before in the wild. The Cure Pornography. I have a reissue of this, but it's like a Slovakian weird bootleg thing. This is an original press on the Stun label, which is a New Zealand label. Look at that. Oops, there we go. This is one that came out absolutely mint in the ultrasonic cleaner. When I picked it up at the Deceased Estate sale, I had like cat shit on the cover. Like here, I had to pick it off. And it was very noisy. But yeah, this sounds absolutely wonderful. My bootleg was obviously a CD pressing, and to hear this, an original press, it just sounded so much better. It just absolutely jumped out of the speakers. Amadou 2, what's this one called? Jesus Christ. Oh, is it Dance of the Lemmings? That's not right, is it? I think it is. Yeah, Dance of the Lemmings, Tange de la Lemminge or something. What's the German one? Yeah, this is classic Amadou. I think after this they get a bit too weird, or a bit too cheesy for me, or a bit too space. I don't know what it is. There's something a bit dramatic about them that I don't like, but this is just before that. 2 LPs. This is and again a New Zealand pressing on the United Artists label. Like, why the fuck were they pressing this in New Zealand? I can't believe the amount of stuff that gets weird stuff that got New Zealand presses. For anyone that doesn't know, the New Zealand pressing plants got shut down, I think, in the 80s, and they ended up getting everything pressed in Australia and shipped over here. So they pressed lots and lots of different things, but in really small quantities. So collectors love New Zealand pressings, even though they don't always sound great, or the packaging is a bit off or something like that. Some people love them. I don't know. I'm not one of those people. If I see a record like this, I'll grab it for cheap. But there's people that just collect New Zealand presses exclusively. But I don't know why. I don't know. Collectors, hey, aren't we weird? Matching model of a red record. Again, I got this really cheap. This is an original US pressing. No, sorry, an original UK pressing. Wow, okay. Canterbury Prog. Fantastic cover. Bill McCormick, Robert Wyatt, Phil Miller, Dave McRae. Yeah. CBS label. It's got the insert is red, which is a really nice little touch. This is good. This is really good. Exactly what you'd expect. Cool. Yes! Master of Reality. I have been wanting this for ages, and I got an original NZ press on Vertigo. This sounds killer. Oh man, I've never heard this in all its glory. Only MP3. So yeah, it absolutely jumps out the speakers. I don't know what it is about this pressing, but it's just wonderful. Yeah, I got this in a really great shape. It's a Caesar State sale. This was quite expensive, but yeah, you know, it's Black Sabbath. You can't go wrong. Same with Paranoid. I already added a really noisy Australian pressing of this. This is a mint New Zealand press that just, yeah, again jumps out of the speakers. I'm so tempted to do a needle drop, but I know I'll get copyright infringement or whatever you want to call it. Paranoid. Reissue I picked up a couple of weeks ago. This is Krishnanda by Pedro Santos. This is like it sounds like a weird soundtrack trip. It's Brazilian, and it's one of those records that the moment you put it on, it takes your mind away to somewhere else. It just transports you into another headspace. Weird bits of like bossa and samba and psychedelic, and it just covers this really strange range of styles within Brazilian music. It's quite short, it's very strange, it's got fantastic artwork, and I love it. I'll do. It's Fever to Tell. This is a reissue from last year of a record that I've been wanting for a very long time. Previously only available on picture disc, so I've been avoiding that, and even that goes for a lot of money. Really happy to see this got reissued. Just a classic from my youth, I suppose. Was all, you know, when this came out, it was I was right in that sort of garage rock and roll revival thing, you know, punk attitude. This comes with, you know, this booklet and a whole newspaper. It's a really well done reissue. This is what reissues should be like, you know. This wasn't crazy expensive, but you know, it comes with all this extra stuff with it. More print. It's one LP, but it's got all these printed inner sleeves. Thick vinyl, sounds magnificent. Thick, yeah. Look at that, printed inside. This is what reissues should be like, you know. Maps is the big song off this. I'm sick of that song. I've heard it too many times. But you know, Y Control, Date with the Night, Black Tongue. It's just balls out rock and roll. Cool. This is one that everyone. This is a Strata East record called In the World by Clifford Jordan. Massively hyped record. After a few listens, it made sense to me. I really got it. I should be spending time talking about this because it's not a cheap record. It was a sort of grail for a long time. I managed to win this on an auction for a very decent price. This is a Japanese pressing. All the usual Strata guys on here. Clifford Jordan. Oh no, it's not actually, I'm lying to you. Don Cherry is on this. I think this is probably the only Strata East record with Don Cherry on it. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. Wonderful. Alright, we're almost there, guys, I promise. Blue Sunshine, this is a offshoot of Susie and the Banshees and The Cure, so I think Robert Smith is on here, Steve Severin, is that his name? And Susie Sue. Just weird 80s, new wave. Yeah, very strange record, very cool. I used to have this again, and I sold it off. I don't actually get it back. This is on blue vinyl, I think it's some sort of 80s, I think it's like the US pressing came out on blue vinyl. Yeah, highly recommend this. Give it a go if you don't know it. I'm sure most people, if you're a fan of The Cure, you would know this record already. So it's nice to have it back again, if anything. Alright, we're almost there. Speaking of Don Cherry, this is Eternal Rhythm. Spiritual jazz, free jazz, a whole bunch of Swedish musicians on here. The weird lineup about this is, which I think makes it really cool, is you've got Don Cherry on here, Sonny Sharocker's on here, then you've got E.J. Thelen, who has that jazz rock record, Joachim Kuhn, Harold Anderson. It's like this really strange mixture of the Swedish guys that played on the ECM stuff and with Don Cherry. But then it's nice to get Sonny Sharrock on here. Just split into two parts, Eternal Rhythm Part 1 and Part 2. What wonderful Don Cherry record. I have heaps of Don Cherry records, but I keep buying them. And they're all in a sort of world spiritual jazz vein. And I love them. This is a good one. Yeah, this is a really good one. Eternal Rhythm. I really like that font too. I don't know, there's something really simple about it. Okay, 2 reissues to end with. I finally bought this. I've been meaning to get it for ages. Courtney Barnett. Sometimes I sit and think. Sometimes I, what is it? Sit. I just sit. Yeah. This album reminds me of Melbourne very much. It feels like Melbourne. The songs reference Melbourne so much. Songs about getting the tram. So I don't know. Just there's micro things that I feel like a lot of international audiences might not always pick up on. Yeah, I mean, even just songs that reference a swimming pool that I used to walk past. It's very weird to hear that stuff that you used to experience on a daily basis, you know, globally. Kim's Caravan is a song about Phillip Island. I could talk about all the references, but it'll take me a while. Depreston is obviously about a suburb called Preston. I mean, if you're from Melbourne, you'll know Preston is quite depressing, and the feeling of, I don't know, I can't talk about it very, very well, but it just captures Melbourne, and it reminds me of Melbourne. I remember I'm buying this for almost like a weird nostalgia of a place I used to live in, or something. I don't know. I really like this record. I actually think I possibly like the other one more, though. The Sea of Split EP. What is it called? It's called a Sea of Split Peas, the double EP, and it's compiles their earlier work. There's a track on that called Avant Gardener that's really cool. Yeah, just very Australian, very what's what I'm looking for? Local lyrics. You know that word? Colloquialisms. That's what I'm trying to say. Cool. I like it. When I first heard Courtney Barnett, I was obsessed with her style of singing, and I watched a whole bunch of her early YouTube clips. Yeah, good. Last one is a classic. Look at that for a 90s cover. That typography, that layout. This is B1000 by Guided by Voices. Something that I've known about for years, but I just haven't got around to picking up. Lovely thick reissue. Look at that gatefold, it's so thick. Everyone should have this record. It feels like it's got all these hooks in them, and these songs almost sound deeper than they are. It's so catchy. It feels familiar, but it's not. I mean, it's familiar because I know it off by heart, but if you hear this record, you would feel like you've heard it before. I don't know, it's just the delivery, the way Robert Pollard sings. He has this way of just the way he delivers his words is so good. It's lo-fi, it's weird, it's comforting, it's so hard to describe this record. As you can tell, there's a lot of really short tracks. I'm sure Roger Coleman could describe this much better than me because he's a big fan. I mean, for me, like Gold Star for Robot Boy was the track that I knew for years before really listening to the whole album. And then I heard like the Gold Heart Mountaintop Queen Directory, and then I was like, oh, maybe there's more to this band. And then when I finally sort of, I remember specifically I was in Sydney and I went on the ferry over to Manly, and I remember listening to this album. This would have been about 6 years ago. I went up to see The Cure play at the Sydney Opera House, and I caught a ferry around there, and I was listening to this record, and it really caught me, and I was like, this is a really great record. And now I finally have it in my hand, so there we go, that's the end. There's a lot of records. That's probably the world record, my world record for records shown in a record video. Yeah. Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah, it's going to be a great 2018. Got a lot of videos planned in my head. I've got some themed videos coming up. Gonna keep pumping them out. Thanks for watching and subscribing and commenting and stuff like that. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Thank you, Diana, for letting me win the contest. I say letting, but I mean thank you for picking me out of the thing randomly. See you all soon.